It's very important to be on the same page as your partner. When you're planning your life, you got to make sure that you guys align. So when you are courting each other and going through those first phases and seeing if you're compatible, make sure that you ask forward facing questions. This will help you determine if you're in alignment and can share a bigger future together. So, let me tell you a little bit about my story and how I initiated this in my relationship. Now, it wasn't the perfect relationship in any way, shape, or form, but the one thing that we held together was vision. And that vision was to grow something much bigger by working together. So, me and my ex, at the time, I was 19, he was 20, I think he was 23 at the time. So we ended up making a photography business because we both enjoyed photos and photography, and we both were very business minded. He already had a couple little side businesses he's done, and I already was coming from an entrepreneur family, so I grew up working with them. And so we both set out to make this business. And then as we were making this business, we designed our whole life around being flexible with our schedules so we can essentially own our time. And that's what we built into a much larger business. We owned that business for 8 years. We turned it into an online directory in the wedding industry. And from that, we just kept scaling it up and wider with more offers until we eventually sold it in 2008, 2009 timeframe. So with that, our vision held true even after that. We ended up taking that income and then putting it into another investment, which was real estate, which is more of a long-term haul. But at that time, we've already invested in some real estate, and just it was the only other thing to fall back on, so it made sense. But also for the longevity of what we wanted to do moving forward, which was having time freedom, place freedom, and to eventually see the world, take our kids to go see the world, and expand globally. So that's what we essentially built and done. And sure, there was like side tracks and side projects that we did. I owned a little online bookstore through Amazon. I started painting for galleries at that time while he was into cycling and doing side projects with network companies and things like that for media exposure. And so together we were kind of like on the same vision, but we took little different pathways. But the core vision was still building up the real estate to expand out to have a freedom for us and our family. And so we did that for many years, and eventually circumstances came to light on my behalf that my ex wanted to do a lot of things by himself, and essentially he was building all of this unbeknownst to me to expand outward for his own life. So essentially, even though sometimes it may seem aligned, look out for those red flags. And I'll just give you that warning because there was red flags the whole time and I chose to ignore them. So look out for those red flags that they might not be aligned in total with you in that picture, in that vision. And you're going to have to, of course, keep building that vision even long after you separate and divorce and go on your way. And so that's what I did. Just because we separated, we got divorced, and essentially both had to start our lives over separately. I still held the vision. I still had the vision of expanding and growing and building a life for me and our children to really enjoy. And so that's what I did. So during that whole time, I kept my kids homeschooled. So they've only been homeschooled. So that gave me freedom to not work within a confined schedule. I bought an RV at that time when I was going through divorce to give us place freedom so we could travel, give us that flexibility to work anywhere we want. So I went back to my previous skills of online building. And I took a lot of classes to get up to date on the latest softwares and everything, because at this time I already was pretty much semi-retired with the real estate and the investing that we did with the real estate. So, in quote unquote, starting over, the vision still stayed. The vision still was there for me. And this is important. So now, for me, particularly, to find a partner that not only is there, of course, like physical attraction, there's, kindness, there's love, and there's care, which technically never existed in my previous long-term marriage. But also that alignment, which is very important. And of course, communication skills, because you have to learn to communicate your wants, your needs, and your desires, and also your values and what you see for the future. So, with that said, this is why it's so important to make that like a core piece of any relationship moving forward. Because what I see time and time again, because I have multiple groups I'm a part of, that I actually have, that I've built, that I see that the couples that are in it, the only reason I see that they're not exactly where they want to be, and talking to them and coaching them and, and seeing, their growth over the last few years now, I see there's always a dissociation with the people that aren't really succeeding. And a lot of it has to do with because they are boxing themselves in this confined space where they're trying to make their spouse or their partner happy by being available on the weekends or on Friday nights, or because it's their anniversary, or it's a kid's birthday, or it's, a special holiday, or it's the time to go see extended family. And that really narrows down like the amount of time they can actually maneuver in building the life that they essentially want for themselves. So they come to me and they're just like, listen, this is the life I see. This is what I want. But then, as they're like excited about it and start building toward it, they're like, hey, I can't because I got this, I got that, I got this other thing and this thing and that thing and this thing. And months go by, absolutely months go by, and they lost the momentum and they're back down to zero. Because when you are building a life, that life vision has to hold like as first and foremost. So for me, my kids, they all want to work with me, and they do for the most part, because we're all sharing the same vision. We all want the same outcome. We all want the same lifestyle. So for example, this last Christmas, we didn't have Christmas, not decorate the tree, not wrap presents, because we just didn't have time, because the fourth quarter for me with the businesses that I've made required a lot of time and energy to build that solid foundation to meet the next version of this year. And so with that said, it doesn't mean that we won't have Christmas. I just put it on a date later out to make it more accessible for all of us to get together and actually enjoy Christmas together. So we're actually having it another week from now. And that's what it takes. It's the mission comes first. The goal comes first, and then everything else has to align around it to hold that vision. And this is with every choice in your life. So if you are finding yourself like in the position of like, I put all this momentum in something and it's not moving forward, really look at how you've designed your life and where you're boxing yourself in. And you're going to have to speak up and have those tough conversations to see, essentially, are you on your own on this, or do you really have that love and support to actually build something together that's going to last, that's going to be that foundation that you both truly want. And it could be something like they don't have to essentially work with you, and you don't have to essentially work with them, but you can coordinate still that life vision together. Like I said earlier, even though, me and my ex had a same vision early on, we went our separate ways at times and then came back together to that larger vision. And that's what it really takes. So you have to have these harder conversations, and if you want to get the life that you are essentially wanting.